You are listening to Give Me a Mic Pro Wrestling Podcast with Chris Day and Wilson Chris.
Hello everybody, it's been a while, but welcome to Give Me a Mic episode 6. Wilson Detrez is off this week. I'm with my special guest co-host Nick Spambanato.
Hey Chris, thanks for having me.
And there's a lot to discuss. We got Extreme Rules to go over, Raw and Smackdown, and the road to SummerSlam is finally here. Yeah, let's see how that
ends. I don't know how things are going to be turning out for this year's SummerSlam.
The Summerfest.
Oof.
Brooklyn, New York, SummerSlam, August 19th, I believe it is.
The Barclays Center?
Yes. We'll start with Extreme Rules first. The B Team versus Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt for the Raw Tag Team titles.
It's nice seeing some of the younger talent finally getting a push.
I agree with that. I don't agree with... I feel like Matt Hardy is being buried in this rivalry.
Yeah, I do too. I really do.
I believe he took all the losses on TV, including the pay-per-view. Bray Wyatt, I don't think, was pinned once.
Yeah.
They do have a rematch for next week's Raw, but usually the rematch doesn't usually go well. Usually the new champs win again. I'm not sure how long they can keep the B Team's undefeated streak going for.
I mean, I honestly truly see them, meaning Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, splitting up probably after SummerSlam and possibly somehow putting the Hardys back together, doing their broken gimmick together, I would assume.
I can see that. Jeff has kind of brought in the broken thing with his face paint back and whatnot over on SmackDown.
And also we'll get to Shinsuke becoming the new United States champion, so...
We'll get to that in just a moment, actually. The second match on Extreme Rules was Finn Balor and Baron Corbin. I don't really know why. I think it was kind of just a filler match. Balor defeated Corbin.
Really disappointing for me. Extremely disappointing, actually. You have such a superstar in Finn Balor and just totally not using him and burying the poor guy for no reason.
Well, at least he got the win. So, I mean, let's go with that for now. SmackDown Women's Championship. Carmella versus Asuka, James Ellsworth in a shark cage above the ring. This match insulted my intelligence on so many levels. Asuka has, almost a 3-year undefeated streak, 2.5 years at least.
Yep.
And now she's lost to Carmella on consecutive pay-per-views.
Yeah.
It's baffling. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not the person that I would have had in mind to be getting all these somewhat clean pinfalls over her at all.
Yeah, I mean, look, Charlotte Flair is one thing that's at least believable to make Asuka tap out.
Right.
I still wasn't happy about that at WrestleMania, but it's believable. Carmella is not believable in any sense.
No.
None whatsoever. And it's burying Asuka twice in a row now.
Yep. I agree with that 100%.
Ellsworth in the shark cage was nothing. He got out of the shark cage. Asuka beat him up, but who cares? He's a punching bag, and Carmella still wins, so... I don't know where Asuka goes from here. I don't believe she was even on SmackDown Live this week, which we'll get into in a little while also. Up next, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship. I felt like this was supposed to be the best match on the card.
I agree with that 100%. Another total disappointment for this pay-per-view with me. I was really looking forward to this match, and it lasted all of about 2 minutes, if that.
The official time of the match was 6 seconds.
Oh.
From when the bell actually rang. To Nakamura pinning him. Entrances and whatnot, it's obviously more. But, yeah, Nakamura hitting a low blow before the match started. I guess I see where they're going with it, being Nakamura with the heel. Kind of stealing the championship. But, I mean, they could have done a full 10-minute match, 15-minute match, and then still had Nakamura hit a low blow and, steal a win anyway.
My personal opinion, though, definitely the right move of putting the belt on him. If he did not win that match, then his whole WWE run would have been a kind of a disappointment with him losing 3 or 4 matches, maybe 5 matches to AJ Styles, and not putting the U.S. title on him would have been an even bigger mistake. So at least he has that going for him, and hopefully he's going to be able to turn his WWE career around.
This was his, I believe, 7th title match on pay-per-view. He had 2 against Jinder that he lost clean both times, I believe.
Yep.
4 against Styles, and now this one against Hardy. And it really wasn't even a match. It was a 6-second low blow, King shots, and that was it.
Correct.
So, I mean, he's up the title, and it counts as a victory, but, really, they need to do more than that to...
Oh, absolutely.
To get him back
absolutely.
up. Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman in the cage. Technically, Kevin Owens won, so he escaped the cage first.
Yes.
I actually enjoyed the match more than I thought I was going to.
Yes, this actually took the pay-per-view up the... look at this pay-per-view as a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It was going down, and we started making that upward spiral going up here.
The ending certainly helped that. With,
Absolutely.
Kevin Owens getting launched on the top of the cage.
That'll probably want to be one of the memorable moments in WWE history from years to come.
I could see that whenever they're showing, cage highlights or something. I'm sure you'll see that, just like you'd see Mick Foley getting tossed on top of the cell.
Absolutely.
But it gives Kevin Owens the win. Doesn't hurt Braun Strowman because he damn near murdered Kevin Owens. And I think that really got the crowd more excited to see, a big spot like that. I'm not sure if they did the typical holy shit chant or not. I was too busy watching the replays on the screen to see Kevin Owens die over and over again. But, I enjoyed the cage. He brought out the handcuffs, told Braun to suck it. Braun broke out of the handcuffs, caught him, tossed him. But, well. But Kevin Owens gets the win, so good for him. The next one, Smackdown Tag Team Championship, the Bludgeon Brothers versus Team Hell No. I was very surprised by the outcome of this one.
This was a total yawn fest for me.
The Bludgeon Brothers won rather quickly, I think, and it came out that Kane actually has a Achilles tear or something along those lines, which I didn't know heading into it. I thought the ankle injury they played with, they did on TV was just a work. I guess he actually has an injury. So maybe that's why the Bludgeon Brothers kept the titles. I'm not sure. But Kane is not expected back for quite some time, especially with him running for mayor in Tennessee. So I think that's the end of the feud. I guess, here's your nostalgia. Team Hell No is back, and now they're gone again.
Right. Thanks for the memories. Buy the T-shirt. We'll catch us at the next one.
There's about 3 or 4 of those T-shirts. We'll get into Team Hell No when we get to SmackDown in a little while. Up next, what I thought was the main event of the show was Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns. I think I was a little surprised, actually, about the outcome. I thought, the big dog, Roman Reigns, was going to win. But Bobby Lashley with the pinfall after one spear. Now, I know you're a big Bobby Lashley fan.
I am a huge Bobby Lashley fan. I'm actually a Roman Reigns fan as well. I'm a supporter of both of these guys. I was actually very surprised going into it. Their styles are very similar, so I feel them kind of working each other would have been a little bit of clash, a little bit of conflict of interest, like pretty much the same type of guys going after each other. So I was actually very surprised about the way that they put this match together and the way that they laid everything out, and I thought it was a halfway decent match.
I did as well.
I am happy that it was in the middle to the end of the card, not the main event. I did not think it was main event quality, my personal opinion. So, but in saying that, like I said, I believe that it was actually a very good match, and I'm actually very happy that Bobby Lashley got the win. He obviously needs it a little bit more than Roman Reigns does.
I agree that he does need it more. I think it makes Roman Reigns look pretty weak. Because if you go back to WrestleMania, it took Brock Lesnar, 6 F5s to beat Roman Reigns? And Lashley beats him with a spear, which is coincidentally enough Reigns' finisher.
That's another thing I was not a big fan of, is you got two guys going after each other. They both have the same finishing maneuver. I mean, some will say that Reigns is the Superman punch, but, he feel like he kind of alternates. I
mean, I think in this particular scenario, I'm okay with Lashley using the spear, but I feel like it hurts Reigns to lose to basically his own finisher. I mean, I'm sure Lashley could have done like the Dominator or something like he did back in the day in his first run. Would have looked a little more convincing, I think. Maybe followed up the spear with that. Because, you got a guy with like Reigns who, like I just said, takes him 6 F5s to lose Mania, but he gets beat by one spear. I mean, come on. Am I supposed to believe that? Anyway, going forward, the only Extreme Rules match on Extreme Rules was Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship, with Ronda Rousey in the front row because she bought a ticket, as I'm doing air quotes over here. I don't think anybody's surprised. Alexa Bliss won. Rousey got involved. Natalya was involved. Mickie James was involved. It was kind of a, bunch of brawling towards the end. But, you could tell Alexa Bliss was going to win. Ronda Rousey put her through a table a few weeks ago. You could see that match brewing for SummerSlam. It's all but 100% confirmed at this point. don't know if you have any thoughts on that or not.
I mean, it's kind of what I saw coming. I just have that feeling that Ronda's going to probably have the belt and probably keep it until WrestleMania.
I could see that. Second biggest show of the year, carried all through the year, face everybody.
Yep. Have her dominate the women's division. Everybody that works hard all year is going to get shit all over, and then she's going to come in with a huge contract and salary and pretty much just take roughshod over everybody. So I kind of feel like I get what WWE's doing here with her. You need the ratings and the star power, but at the same time, you've had these people who have worked their whole life to be in this profession, and she comes in and just immediately gets a title.
Well, she doesn't have it yet, but to be fair, she at least looks like she cares a little more than Brock Lesnar does.
Correct.
And actually wants to be there. Here's where my problem's going to be when they do Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte at WrestleMania next year, which I think is stupid, because I'm sure Charlotte's going to go over again.
They're talking about that possibly closing the show at this point, for rumors going around.
MetLife Stadium next year. Here's what I think should have happened. I think Asuka should still be undefeated, personally. I think she should have won the SmackDown Women's title. She should have carried it all the way to next year's WrestleMania, where she'd face Ronda Rousey. They both have an armbar finisher. They both would have the titles, and they'd both be undefeated. And I think I'd be a lot more invested in that.
Yeah, I definitely see your feelings towards that.
You have Charlotte beating Asuka, that's fine, it's believable. And then dropping the belt 2 days later to Carmella, not believable. Then Asuka losing to Carmella, not believable. Rousey's kind of predictable that she's going to win the Raw Women's title, that's believable, but, I don't know. I just wish, it was handled a little differently. Moving on, AJ Styles versus Rusev for the WWE Championship, which was the, co-main event of Extreme Rules. I don't think anybody's really surprised. I was happy to see Rusev get a title match. I mean,
I'll be straight up honest with you. I think Rusev did a fantastic job in a high-profile match. I think that, if not anything, maybe this and working with Undertaker at the Greatest Royal Rumble show back in April, 2 weeks after WrestleMania, this has got to show, whoever's in charge that this guy can actually hang with the top echelon of WWE superstars. I think he did a fantastic job, and there was a couple of times where I thought, hey, this guy's going to walk out with the belt.
There was, in the back of my mind, I was almost hoping he would win, just because of how much of a swerve it would be. Because, not only anyone expected him to win, Styles won. I think it's what everyone expected. To set up a bigger match for SummerSlam that hasn't been announced yet. Maybe Samoa Joe. Nothing confirmed yet. But yeah, it was a good match. I was impressed with it. I was impressed with Rusev's ability to be in a high-profile main. Essentially, it's a main event.
And like I said, I think he did a fantastic job.
I do too. And he's still over with the crowd. They were in Pittsburgh. Everyone's chanting Rusev Day. They were even chanting it during Roman and Lashley, I think, at one point also. So,
I wouldn't be surprised. I've also seen some stuff through reports that a possible match for SummerSlam would be Aiden English and Rusev versus the Bludgeon Brothers, now that Team Hell No is kind of on the down.
I would be okay with that.
I think that'd be a great, you have two true faces and a true heel team going at each other.
Yeah, there's another rumor that I heard for SummerSlam for the tag titles. We'll get into that in a little while. But let's go to the main event first. Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins in the 30-minute Iron Man match for the Intercontinental Championship. Ziggler wins 5-4 in sudden death. Now, I personally, and we talked about this before we started recording, but I actually liked the way Rollins got the 3-0 lead. He got 2 pinfalls, and then McIntyre gave him a third one when he, attacked him, laid him out, hit the Claymore. And then Ziggler kind of picked up a few quick pinfalls to tie it in something like a 2-minute fashion. But I felt like it was believable because of the way McIntyre assaulted him.
Correct.
Not a fan of that.
I thought that it was believable up to that point. I did not like how he came back and we got so many pinfalls in about 2 minutes. That was not that was a little different for me. Like I said, definitely great. I'm a fan of both of those guys. Definitely great to see Dolph Ziggler finally getting number 1 a title and number 2 a main event match, because the guy deserves it more than pretty much anyone else there on their roster.
And winning the main event match.
Absolutely. So I thought it was a great match. I don't think it ranks up there with Shawn and Brett, though, from WrestleMania 12 as far as Iron Man matches are concerned. But like I said, great match. I think they did a fantastic job with the match placement on this card as far as where they put things. I think that they did a fantastic job with that. And, maybe we're going to get a little bit of a turnaround here.
And, you bring up Brett and Shawn from Mania 12. I actually thought what we were going to get was a 1-0 finish originally.
Yeah, I mean,
then the match started.
I thought crossed my mind.
I thought they would go the whole half hour and there'd be a pin right at the end, or they would have the sudden death and have the pin. I'm not a fan of 9 total pinfalls. I feel like that makes them look almost kind of weak to get beat that many times. I think like a 3-2 would have been believable or been fine, or a 2-1. I don't think there was any point to do the overtime. Seth Rollins hit the stomp right at the end and ran out of time on the clock. I think Ziggler should have had a lead, and Rollins would have been trying to tie right at the end when the time ran out. I don't think there was a need to do the bonus time because, they restarted it and Ziggler won in 6 seconds because McIntyre came back out and interfered again. I don't think that was necessary.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a sudden death overtime like that, at least make it a little bit longer than, hit the zigzag and it's over.
Right, yeah.
But overall, I think the show exceeded my expectations. I was really not expecting a whole lot out of this show. Having the matches where they were kept me kind of interested. Owens and Strowman in the middle. Lashley Reigns a couple matches later. Ziggler and Rollins at the end. I guess it kept me interested enough, through the filler matches along the way. But yeah, so that was Extreme Rules. It exceeded my expectations, so I'm good with that, I guess.
Yep, like I said, I was very happy with the way the WWE officials had put it as far as match placement, as far as keeping people intrigued. Thought that was a fantastic job. I would probably have to say my favorite match on the card was definitely the AJ Styles-Rusev match. Like I said, big fan of both of those guys, but I am very happy that Rusev, he didn't obviously become victorious in the match, but definitely showed that he could hang with the guys.
Yeah, and this pay-per-view is really just kind of the filler to SummerSlam, so no big titles changed hands. No surprise there. Well, that's not really a surprise when the Universal Champion's not even on the show anyway.
Yeah.
So, let's talking about Brock Lesnar. We'll start off with the opening of Raw this week, where Kurt Angle came out, and he mentioned this on Extreme Rules, that if Brock Lesnar did not either show up on Raw or agree to terms for his next title defense, he would be stripped of the Universal title. So Kurt Angle starts off Raw, is about to strip Brock Lesnar of the Universal title, when Paul Heyman comes out, interrupts Angle. There's a little, back and forth, and Paul Heyman agrees that Brock Lesnar will defend the Universal Championship at SummerSlam. So the Universal title match is confirmed for SummerSlam. And then,
but we yet to know who it's going to be against.
We don't know who it's going to be against, which brings me to the next point. There were 2 triple threat matches on Raw. One was Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, and Drew McIntyre. The other was Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and Elias. And the 2 winners will face off next week on Raw, and the winner will face Brock at SummerSlam. The first match opened the show. It was Roman, Finn, and Drew McIntyre. It was a very good match. I have a very big problem with the match, and that was towards the ending, where after McIntyre had brought a chair into play, Finn Balor had the chair. He hit Roman Reigns 6 times with the chair over the back, and I actually timed this out. Roman Reigns was back up 28 seconds later. That is a joke. That is no selling the chair shots.
Yeah, Roman kind of sell the other 2 guys in the match who are obviously working hard, and especially like I said earlier with Finn, he's really been having some difficulties as far as that push from the office. But
unfortunately, the injury when he first won the Universal title just killed all his momentum because he was out for so long and hasn't really even gotten anywhere close to it since.
Right.
And he took the pin in the match. Roman Reigns was the winner. Yawn, no surprise. It was the way it was handled. Like I said, with Roman taking all those chair shots, and then really, it didn't affect him. After he got back up from those chair shots, which was, again, 28 seconds after he took 6 chair shots, he was back up. He took 2 sling blades, one on the outside of the ring, one in the ring from Balor. And then when Balor went to do his kick into the corner, he took a Superman punch, and it's like Roman's not even affected by anything.
Right, yep.
Look, I know he's the company's top guy, but come on, at least make it believable. I think the one advantage was McIntyre was not pinned, so I don't think he's been pinned since his return, if I'm correct.
I believe that is correct. I don't believe he's been taken any pins.
I know Ziggler and McIntyre were in a tag team battle royal where Ziggler was eliminated, not McIntyre, but I think that's the only loss he's had since he came back. So there's at least that positive take out of it. We'll move along to the second triple threat, which was the main event of the show, which was Rollins, Lashley, and Elias. By the way, Elias has a new album coming out. His first album comes out next week, July 23rd. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to buy it. I'm interested to see what they put out there. But I think this match was, as far as I'm concerned, as predictable as the first one.
I agree with that. My personal opinion, I believe that the second match was a little better as far as
I think so as well.
In-ring working ability and whatnot. I was more entertained with the second triple threat than the first one personally. So, once again, no surprise. Your winner is Bobby Lashley. So we are going to have a rematch of Sunday next week.
And I think another thing that's no surprise in that match is that he pinned Elias, not Seth Rollins.
Correct.
So you get Rollins screwed at the end of the pay-per-view. He doesn't take the pin in the triple threat, so he still looks pretty good. Elias doesn't really hurt him to get pinned by Bobby Lashley. And yeah, we're going to get the rematch for next week on Raw. It's Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley. The winner will face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. I personally think Roman Reigns is going to go over, beat Bobby Lashley. Lashley got the win in pay-per-view. Now I think Reigns takes this one. Now, you think Lashley's going to win again, don't you?
I do. I do think Lashley's going to win again. I do think he's going to go on to SummerSlam and beat Brock Lesnar. And then about 45 seconds after that happens, I have a feeling that Braun Strowman will be cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. Reason why I think this is they've already made Roman look extremely weak compared to Brock Lesnar as far as the previous what feels like 12 matches they've had, even though it's probably only 6. But I could be wrong. It's just my personal opinions, and I think it's a little bit of a if they are going to do that, if they're gonna use someone to take the belt off of Brock to get to Braun, like I said, I think it'd be a fresh change to have someone else go with Brock, and both guys have MMA experience, so maybe we could see a little bit of mixed martial arts in the match as well. I feel like it'll be a little bit more of an entertaining fight than WrestleMania was.
Well, it'd be something fresh to get Lashley and Lesnar, because I don't think it's ever happened before.
No, it's not.
But I still think they're going to go with Reigns. I think Reigns will finally beat Lesnar clean, and at that point, he'll be so exhausted that Braun will walk out the briefcase, slam him, and pin him. And then Reigns can keep walking around whining about how he's the uncrowned Universal Champion like he's been doing since WrestleMania. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong. I think Lashley and Lesnar would be better. But, Vince, just loves Roman Reigns, the big muscular guy. So we'll see what happens.
My personal opinion, too, I'm not a huge fan of Braun Strowman as with the Money in the Bank contract. I really don't feel like he needed that.
I don't either. I didn't think he had a shot to win.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think that he needed that at all to become WWE champion. Monster among men, 7 foot, 385. The guy's a genetic freak.
And they actually kind of swerved me with Braun winning because Michael Cole and Corey Graves did a thing where they said, Braun Strowman's got to be the favorite. He's got to be the favorite. And whenever they say that person never wins. They say, for Royal Rumble, oh, here comes Big Show. How can anybody eliminate him? He never wins. Same thing with this one. I thought Braun had no chance of Money in the Bank, and he won. But anyway, we'll see what happens there next week on Raw. And we'll come back to SummerSlam, for that match at a later time. Let's go over some other things that happened on Raw. Bayley and Sasha Banks, a storyline that never ends. This week, they had a team up again. Kurt Angle made them team up again, said that if they couldn't get along, that one of them would be traded to SmackDown. And in my mind, that couldn't be a better thing. One of them needs to get off Raw immediately, as far as I'm concerned.
They both need to get off national television, in my opinion.
I think Bayley would be much better off on SmackDown, because Sasha Banks, here Michael Cole, practically jerking off when Sasha Banks goes, oh, it's boss time. I'm sick of that. But this storyline's been going on since Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble, even way before that.
Yep.
You know, we're in the middle of July here. This has been going on since January.
I mean, I don't feel like they have anything invested into a storyline where people are emotionally attached to it. I feel like that is the piss break on whatever show that they put this on, and no one really cares.
Well, I think they tried to really put the emotional investment in it this week. Sasha Banks and Bayley lost by disqualification to Dana Brooke and Alicia Fox. Yes, you heard that correctly. They were on TV this week in a match. Afterwards, there was a backstage segment where Bayley asked Sasha why, basically she got them disqualified. Sasha gave a speech about how, basically that she loves how Bayley's a good person and she's a role model and etc. and finished it up by telling Bayley that she loves her and then walked away. So I'm not sure if one of them's actually going to be going to SmackDown or not. We'll see. I hope so because, maybe have a match at SummerSlam or something and finish this feud off once and for all. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens there. Dolph Ziggler had a match with Bobby Roode, which I think was really questionable in my opinion. Roode comes out, challenges Dolph for the Intercontinental Championship. Dolph agrees to a match, but not for the title. And then Dolph wins anyway. I thought, Roode was going to win, and then that would set up a SummerSlam match maybe for the title. But I think Bobby Roode has suffered massively since coming to Raw in Superstar Shakeup.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. I'm a big fan of Bobby Roode, a big fan of Dolph Ziggler. The guys have worked each other on house shows for about 6 months when Bobby Roode made his debut on SmackDown, and the reports I've gotten from a lot of those shows is that they were fantastic matches. So I'm really hoping that they turn this into a TV product with those two. Make a nice little program out of it, and maybe we can even see Bobby Lashley get another mid-card title in WWE.
Bobby Roode, you mean?
Bobby Roode, I'm sorry.
Yes, Lashley's going to be getting the big belt.
Yes, hopefully Lashley will get the big belt.
But yeah, Roode, he's really over with the crowd. Everyone loves singing his theme song. Ziggler's pretty over as a heel right now with the belt. But, Bobby Roode's not even on TV every week, so it's like, he's not getting any consistency on Raw. And Raw's a 3-hour show. There's room for him every week. There's
room for a lot on 3 hours, and it's really getting hard to watch 3 hours of pro wrestling a week.
That is true. You got Bobby Roode, some weeks not even on the show, but yet we have time for the last few weeks. We had Mojo Rawley versus No Way Jose filling TV time. This week we had Mojo Rawley beating Tyler Breeze. Come on. Look, I don't have a problem if they're trying to push Mojo Rawley a little bit. He's gotten 3 or 4 victories in a row. Great, that's someone new, but where's he going to go? You got a heel champion in Ziggler. He's got no tag team partner. He ain't getting the belt from a Lashley or a Lesnar or a Reigns. So, where's he going to go from here? If they're going to push him, great, but you have to have somewhere to go from there. It's kind of like how they brought up the Authors of Pain. They won a few matches and then disappeared for a couple months, and now they're back on TV again. They had nothing for them. You got to have something for these guys if you're going to bring them up. I think that's just about it for Raw. Nothing else of note. Ronda Rousey broke her suspension, came out, beat up Alexa Bliss. Angle tacked on another week of suspension, but basically said if she didn't violate it, she'd have a match with Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam for the Raw Women's Championship. We've kind of gone over that. We know how that's going to turn out.
Yep. That's kind of predictable, and that's pretty much the match right there for you at SummerSlam in Brooklyn.
Going over to SmackDown Live this week, we were given the rematch, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy for the U.S. title. Jeff Hardy opened the show, just cut a promo. That was followed up by an interesting matchup. WWE Champion AJ Styles versus Andrade Cien Almas. Not really sure what the point of it was. It was a pretty good match in my opinion. Styles got the win.
Fantastic match.
Yeah, it kind of surprised me because Almas out of nowhere is getting a match with the WWE Champion on TV, and he held his own.
I think Almas is probably top 5 most underrated guys on the main roster.
I almost wouldn't have been. I think it would have been okay with if Selena Vega had interfered somehow and Almas had won. It was a non-title match. It would have been a big victory on TV. They could have pushed a new guy immediately. But if it's just going to be a 1-week feud, it doesn't go anywhere, then I don't really see the point. The guy I think who's going to challenge Styles at SummerSlam is Samoa Joe, who wiped the floor with Ty Dillinger in like 2 minutes. I was texting you while I was, when I watched it. From the opening bell to closing bell, I think I saw the whole match before you texted me back. That's how quick it was. And I hate that Ty Dillinger's underused. I think he's, a grossly underused talent who can at least, be in a mid-card feud or something. But again, I think it's just to put Samoa Joe over as dominant, which he was. I think we're going to see Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam, or if not SummerSlam, a little farther down the road. It's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of be dumb for WWE not to do that. I mean, it has worked for TNA in the past. It's worked for Ring of Honor in the past. Why not do it on the biggest stage possible? I mean, it'd be a perfect fit for a Raw or a SmackDown. I don't know of anybody, a fan of pro wrestling, who's a fan of those guys either, saying one bad thing about the feud that has happened in any other promotion ever.
I can't see that.
So,
especially some of the matches they've had together. I mean, some of the old TNA ones in the X Division were phenomenal.
So to me, that's a no-brainer for WWE. Yeah. That's just a cash cow right there.
I heard there was local advertisements, I believe in Texas, for Hell in a Cell that were advertising Styles and Joe. I haven't seen those. I assume that'll probably happen, but the card's always subject to change. You never know. But that's what I would go with.
And I mean, we never know what's going to be happening exactly for SummerSlam with the WWE title as well. Either they're kind of in a transition period. Do they give Rusev another shot? Do they go with Almas? Do they go with Joe? We still have a couple weeks to figure that situation out, and that's exciting to see.
And you'd think they'd go with like a bigger name, but a couple years ago they did Ambrose and Ziggler on SummerSlam. And that was, I love that personally because it was like a fresh, both were kind of fresh faces in a main event scene. So we'll see what they go with there. Moving forward, I think Becky Lynch is going to be the next person to challenge Carmella. She's been getting pushed heavily on TV. She beat Mandy Rose this week and then cut a promo after the match saying that she wanted to be the women's champion again, which then followed up with Carmella backstage with Paige, who Carmella demanded another celebration segment next week, or a Mellebration as she called it. Paige said that she would get it if she beat Becky Lynch next week on SmackDown in a non-title match, and if Becky wins, she'll face her at SummerSlam for the title. That, to me, says Becky Lynch is going to beat her and get a title shot at SummerSlam. I'm personally okay with that. I think Carmella has had the belt long enough. She's gotten, wins to at least make her seem credible against Charlotte twice and Asuka twice. And I happen to like Becky Lynch. That's just,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Becky Lynch fan. I kind of feel with the women's titles that it's kind of like, you haven't had the belt yet, so we're going to let you have it. You haven't had the belt yet, so we're going to let you have it. It's kind of like, it seems like the belt kind of gets around in the women's division on both shows a lot, so.
Well, I think what will probably happen is Becky Lynch will take the belt, and then we'll see if they bring up anybody after SummerSlam or not, like a Nikki Cross or something, with Sanity being on SmackDown. That's a possibility. Or if they have the Iconics win it and kind of pull like the Lay Cool thing, where they both kind of share the belt almost.
That would be a nice little transition if they did that.
I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that happen.
One thing you just brought up I just want to touch base with is call-ups. I really feel like they need to start spreading these out. I feel like they're kind of cramming them in after these big shows, and it's not meaning as much as it used to be when you get someone debuting from a different company or from NXT. I feel like, the night after Mania has almost become ridiculous with that, where you're getting 3 or 4, and then you're also getting 3 or...
it's coming, too.
And you know it's coming, and so it kind of takes away the excitement factor. I mean, it is what it is. Nothing that I could say is going to change that, but...
Yeah, it's different when, you have something like after Mania 19 where here comes Goldberg.
Right.
But, when you have the Raw after Mania this year, you have Jeff Hardy come out, and you have Bobby Lashley come out. I don't know, the Authors of Pain debut. Ember Moon debuts, all in the same show.
Right.
It's a great show, but you could have spread those out a little bit, and I agree with that point. I don't want to expect that night after SummerSlam, oh, here comes someone new for Raw and someone SmackDown. The Royal Rumble, oh, here comes someone from NXT that's not going to win, but they're taking a spot up.
Right.
Mania, all those we just went through. So I agree that, maybe spread them out, maybe Mania and Survivor Series instead, that's 6 months apart instead of, 3 months apart. Because if you do them at SummerSlam or the night after, you've got more guys before some of these newer guys have even really established themselves yet, which makes sense. Like Sanity just showed up really a couple weeks ago finally. You gonna bring up someone else to throw in SmackDown to another face?
Right.
So yeah, I can agree with that. That makes sense. Where were we? I went through basically everything. We got the main event, which was Shinsuke Nakamura defending his newly won U.S. title against Jeff Hardy. I think we got the match we deserved at Extreme Rules, personally. It ended via DQ when Randy Orton came out and attacked Jeff Hardy. Before we get to that part, Hardy hit the Twist of Fate, which was more of like a stunner Twist of Fate. It wasn't the actual Twist of Fate. And then he did something that I know you love to see, is where he landed flat on Shinsuke Nakamura's chest with the Swanton Bomb.
I mean, Jeff Hardy is, a legend and an extremely gifted athlete. But I've noticed since the Hardys have come back from TNA, he is just totally killing these guys with that move. I mean, I definitely would not want to take it from Jeff Hardy at this point.
Flat on his rib cage. I'm sure Nakamura had the wind knocked out of him on that. Obviously we can't show you the footage, but go back and check that out.
Check your DVRs.
It looked like it hurt. He goes to the pin. Orton pulls him out of the ring, and Orton proceeds to beat the holy hell out of Jeff Hardy. Absolutely destroyed him. He smacked his head against the steps, I think 6 times or so. Hardy tried to fight back briefly, which didn't really do anything. Orton stepped on his head on the steps. It looked like I thought he was going to RKO him through the announce table, but just kind of beat him up a little bit. You had your typical agents, Fit Finlay and Jamie Noble with all the referees running out, trying to break it up. At one point, which was a little disturbing, Orton put his fingers through the holes in Jeff Hardy's ears, where his gauges would be, and was pulling on his ear. I thought he was going to rip his ear off, because it looked like he was pulling on it. I don't think he actually was, but it was disturbing to me to watch. But, I guess making Orton look like a sadistic heel again. And after he was beating up Jeff Hardy, he was telling Jeff Hardy to ask him why he was doing it. And then he also said, "Where's Shinsuke?" After Shinsuke had took off, he was at the top of the ramp and then backstage. So I'm not sure if they're going to do a triple threat type of thing at SummerSlam. If it's going to be Jeff Hardy and Orton, the winner face Nakamura. I'm not really sure. I guess I'm kind of more intrigued in Orton. I think he's better as a heel than a face, as long as he's not a boring heel. He's had that problem in the past before. I don't know what your thoughts are. I know you like Randy Orton.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of all 3 of those guys. Not really sure either where they're going to go with that. I'm sure we're going to be finding out in the next week or 2. I would personally think it'd be a great opportunity to do a triple threat match. I feel like they can continue with the story up until SummerSlam. They can get the crowd emotionally invested in that, and I think it would actually be a pretty decent little match.
I think it would be as well. I'm wondering if it's because it's SummerSlam, and we've already done Nakamura and Hardy technically once there's Extreme Rules now on pay-per-view. If we add a stipulation to it, if we're doing a ladder match, or if just all triple threat matches are new as qualifications, so that you can just do that anyway.
Yep.
But I wonder if we would get a stipulation of that being it's SummerSlam and it's a bigger show. But time will tell. SummerSlam's still about a month away, so. That's all for what we had for Raw, SmackDown, and Extreme Rules. And now we've had, a few big noteworthy things since our last episode, one of which was Brock Lesnar showing up at UFC 226, and here are his comments.
What does this all mean to you, Brock? Let me tell you something. I walked into this building and watched the heavyweight disasters from the beginning. Nagano's a piece of shit. Miocic's a piece of shit! DC! I'm coming for you, motherfucker!
Alrighty then, so that's what happened. UFC 226, there was a confrontation between Brock Lesnar and the new UFC heavyweight champion, Daniel Cormier. He's also the light heavyweight champion as well. Dana White basically confirmed that the match is going to or the fight is going to happen at some point in the future. Lesnar did re-enter the pool for his doping allegations or whatever. Still 6 months of a suspension left for failing a test before he fought Mark Hunt, 2 years ago, I believe?
Yes, 2 years ago. It was about about a month and a half before SummerSlam.
Yeah, I know it was in July, and the WWE used that for all it was worth.
Yep.
Especially after he won the fight.
Well, I mean, UFC is doing WWE's game at their at a better pace right now. They're taking a fact out of the pro wrestling handbook and totally scoring with it when WWE is not at the current moment. So, huge news: Brock Lesnar showing up and pretty much calling out and cursing out Daniel Cormier.
And I'm not sure when that fight will take place. It doesn't look like it'll be till next year due to the suspension Lesnar has,
and the testing period as well.
Yeah, he's got to stay clean for at least 6 months first.
Yep.
So I forget which fighter it was, but someone said there's no way he's clean, and it's kind of hard to argue that. If you think he is clean, maybe he is clean knowing he was going back to UFC, but we'll see. I mean, anyone can fail a drug test at any given time. Just ask John Jones, who's failed like 10 of them.
Correct.
But, so that's the update with Lesnar and UFC. I would expect that SummerSlam is going to be his last WWE date for the foreseeable future since he's going back to UFC.
Others are speculating that he possibly will keep the belt, and our predictions were wrong. That
if he actually kept the Universal title going into the UFC fight, that would be a complete joke in my opinion. Not because, it'd be cool. Okay, yeah, he's got both belts. But now it's, what is that saying to everyone? That WWE's on an equal playing field with UFC? And that WWE is real? I mean, that's not the case.
That is not the case, but you also got to look at it from a business standpoint, and I'm sure Vince is looking at it from a media standpoint
And a money standpoint.
And a money standpoint where Brock is going to be getting all of this high-profile attention from news, media, fans, to the point where he's hoping he can maybe grab some of those UFC fans and bring them back over to the WWE side.
That is possible. I mean, I don't know if Vince has enough confidence to let Brock basically walk into UFC with his title on around his waist for the fight. That would certainly be an unprecedented thing to happen. But obviously we won't know until SummerSlam. If Brock keeps the belt at SummerSlam, then we know something's going on.
Yeah, at that point it'll be pretty likely that that could be a definite possibility.
I mean, I feel like Brock only still has the belt just to, stick it to CM Punk and break his modern-day record as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, definitely a thought.
Also an interesting point that I found out the other night. This is only the second time in, I believe, modern-day history where both world champions have had the championships for 250 days or more, with both of them being consecutive reigns. Styles and Lesnar. The other two, I don't know if you can figure out when the other one was. No? I don't know if you have a guess at all or not.
What was the question again?
Both champions had a reign at the same time of at least 250 days. I got the other one right away.
Okay, hang on. There's two guys?
Yeah, well, because there's two world champions.
Yep, okay, so I'm going to take a guess.
Go ahead.
JBL and Triple H.
No.
Really?
Triple H because Triple H had Goldberg beat him for a little bit in there. He had Michaels beat him after the Chamber. The answer is Batista and John Cena. They both won the belts at WrestleMania 21.
Yep.
They both held them, until January. Batista had a vacate title. Cena held it until New Year's Revolution, I believe, where he lost to Edge.
Yep. Cashed in Money in the Bank.
So
first ever Money in the Bank.
It wasn't as long as Styles or Lesnar, but it was only second time. It's just a small fact that really doesn't mean a whole lot, but fun fact to look at. One other big noteworthy thing that just happened recently: Hulk Hogan has been reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame after a 3-year suspension.
Brother.
Quite frankly, I didn't know he was suspended from the Hall of Fame. I knew he was...
Which is kind of asinine if you think about it. How are you going to take the godfather of professional wrestling and suspend him out of a Hall of Fame?
Look, I get, he had the racist remarks and whatnot, but everyone knows he was already in the Hall of Fame. It's not like you can really take it away from him at this point.
Right.
I don't think it really stopped anybody from trying to, booking him for appearances. Didn't really hurt his life any, except, the fact that he wasn't on TV. Reports are he gave a speech to the WWE locker room before the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. The superstars are basically split 50-50 on it. I know some of them have outspoken against him, like Titus O'Neil, who really couldn't care less that Hulk Hogan was back and doesn't really forgive him at all. Mark Henry was more on board with, hey, if he's trying to do the right thing and make a positive, turn a positive out of it, then good for him. I don't really see the point if Hulk Hogan doesn't come back to TV anytime soon. Then, it is what it is. Good for him. He apologized, but that's, about as far as we're going to go with it.
This is like his third or fourth time coming back for the company, so I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a slower transaction if possible. I can also see him coming in and being a GM for a Raw or a SmackDown. I would have to assume that Angle's time is got to be somewhat numbered. These positions usually only last for about a year and a half, and
that is true.
And Kurt Angle's done a pretty good job, but he's also at that point now where it's it might be time to end that on-screen relationship with WWE.
I could see that. I thought maybe the timing being what it was, close to SummerSlam, maybe there'd be an angle for him at SummerSlam to see, the feel-good moment, Hulk Hogan, it's New York, real American, etc., etc. We'll see what happens there, if anything. Nothing is rumored at this point as far as I know. So, we'll see if Hulk Hogan does make his on-screen return anytime soon. I think a GM role would make sense, probably on Raw, because Paige is a new GM for SmackDown. I don't see that changing. And like you said, I do think Kurt Angle's time is numbered. They've got the whole storyline with Baron Corbin, as, basically, the Constable, Stephanie McMahon's eyes and ears, etc. She's not watching the show, of course. So, yeah, I would think Kurt Angle's time is numbered for the Raw, GM. And Hogan would be, I think, a good spot to, or a good person to put in his place. But we'll see what happens going forward, from there. And wrapping up this episode, which, is a little shorter than usual, but we're going to wrap up this week with the announcement that War Games is back for NXT TakeOver this year. It'll be after or the night before Survivor Series in Los Angeles at the Staples Center. Last year, War Games returned after 21-year absence, I believe it was.
Yep.
The Undisputed Era won the first War Games match that took place, and there'll be another one this year.
Which I think is great. I think that's great for NXT. It's an exciting match. I always liked those as a kid.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to bring it back. And I'm not sure if do you think doing it in NXT to see if it'll work well on the main roster in the future?
I mean, that is possible. I could see them having there be a War Games pay-per-view. I don't know if it's been noted on the podcast or not before, but they have removed TLC from the pay-per-view listings.
Yes, that is something we've not covered yet. TLC was supposed to be in Boston on October 21st. That has been replaced with a Super Show.
So that's what they're calling it for now. They're supposed to be coming up with a new name for it. So, I mean, hey, that'd be great to see. Or maybe we'll get an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view again. Yeah,
you never know. That could be something that could come back. But yeah, I think Hell in a Cell was either the date was moved or Clash of Champions was removed back, or there was another change as well. But yeah, War Games is back November 16th or 17th that weekend, the Saturday before Survivor Series. So that's all we have for this week's episode. Give Me a Mic, episode 6. I'd like to thank my special guest co-host, Nick Spambanato, for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chris. Hopefully I can come back in the near future. Fill in for Wilson again.
Wilson, we'll be back next episode. I'm Chris Day. Like us on Facebook at End of the Day Entertainment. You can find us on YouTube at End of the Day Entertainment. This has been Give Me a Mic. Thank you guys for listening.